Good morning, crowd. Welcome to the Sense of Things with Jeff and Ron here once again for another wonderful week of what's going on in the world, what's going on in the economy, and what the heck is going on in the markets right now. We are going to talk a little bit today about spring, since it's the first day officially of spring, the spring equinox or whatever the heck they call it. Ron's going to talk with us a little bit about the debt clock, and he's got some stuff on fear and greed. I'm going to talk a little bit about technical analysis and really the way I learned it and the way the market is setting up for what we call a follow-through day. So stay tuned. It's an important show, and we'll see you guys right back here in just a second. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Ron, how are you doing, my friend?
Good morning, Jeff. Yes, chaos is constant. What can you do about it? But it's all good. It's all good. Got a lot of good stuff today. And let me jump right into it here.
Awesome.
All right. Here, give me one sec.
No worries.
Here we go. All right. So, 3 good ones this week. What famous soft drink was invented in 1892?
Dr. Pepper.
I really thought you were going to get this one.
Coca-Cola. Okay.
Yeah, there was first. I think Dr. Pepper may have been second. You're probably close. So,
yeah.
All right, I figured I'd throw a softball one in there. The next one. I did not. If I heard this, it was a long time ago. What 2 words were combined to create spam?
I really have no idea. Ham.
Even the military. I thought you would have gotten this one.
It's all, yeah, we didn't eat spam in the military, dude.
All right, no guess?
No clue.
All right. Spiced ham.
Just so
hilarious.
Yeah. I cannot tell you I've ever actually eaten spam once.
As an adult, I can't remember it. Yeah. I don't think my mom ever made it.
Yeah. No, and Crystal, my wife, she had it when she was growing up because they were a military family, and I think they used to eat the K rations or whatever. But yeah, I personally can't think of it. I was of the generation in the military where we had MREs and we had the pork patty, which was probably the most disgusting form of sustenance ever. It was literally akin to a Brillo pad, and there was not enough water on the planet to rehydrate it.
Gotcha. All right. And the last one is, where were French fries invented?
Belgium.
My man.
Damn.
I forgot that.
I know my food, brother, but I don't consider it spam food, so I knows my food.
Yeah. Here. All right. So here we go. I thought this was interesting. Yeah. The CNN Fear and Greed Index, I wasn't going to bring up all the gauges. Almost every gauge is extreme fear except for one. Market volatility. So you would think if we're extreme fear, why wouldn't the market volatility be an extreme fear and elevated above 25 or 30? But this kind of threw me for a little loop because a lot of people have said the VIX has been a broken indicator for quite some time. I don't know, but
the thing that makes me laugh, because I actually commented on this the other day when the market was up like massive one day and then way down the next day. And I was watching the VIX on the screen on our TV here. And I'm like, I don't get the math on this. How can if the market just is steady upward, the VIX should be flat or low. If it's going from this range to this range, it should be higher. What's the math here? I don't get it.
Especially with 1.5% moves either way. Yeah. That's called volatility.
I call that volatility. That should be a higher spike in the index. I don't get how the VIX can be down. So obviously something is broken in their calculation.
Yep. And with fear brings opportunity.
Yeah.
So with that is the junk bond demand, which are agreed, because obviously that's getting suppressed. The yields go up. So you can get some, I know how this sounds, some good junk
Yeah.
bonds at a pretty good yield.
The thing is, yeah, junk bonds are considered what, double B and below. There's some really outstanding double B
Thought
companies.
it was C, but okay.
No, it's double B.
Okay.
Yeah, it's double B or below. So there's some pretty outstanding companies that are double B, and largely they're there because they have a lot of debt, and so they have to pay a little bit more. But I mean, I always have a decent sized sleeve of junk bonds or high yield bond. They're high yield bonds. I hate that term, junk bonds. It sounds like they're just complete garbage. It's no, they pay their bills. So the default rates have been incredibly low on junk bonds for years.
Until we hit a rough patch in the economy.
True. Yep. We just haven't hit one, and who knows where we're going to be at.
You hate the word junk, right? But
Yeah.
one of the biggest high yield ETFs is JNK, the symbol.
Yep. I know I hate the term. I invest in that with client money. We are invested in JNK, but I just hate the term because it's not really reflexive of what it is. They're not going out and buying,
You're not the dumpster diving.
Yeah, D and
For
F.
the most part.
Yeah. There's a lot of window in there where, yeah, they have to pay a little bit more, but they're still actually good companies or stable companies.
Okay. And then I can't show this real time, but if you ever just go to this website
Yeah.
and just watch it, everything is
It's
changing
awesome.
instantaneously. So I just wanted to bring up a couple of things because it's been a while since I saw this. Number one, the unfunded debt interest. So there's a couple of things here that I wanted to bring up. First of all, this debt loan, the student loan debt, I always thought this is ridiculous because a lot of these people never even got a degree.
Nope.
They got
Nope.
these loans, they left for whatever reason, they're still on the hook. And a lot of these things are at 6 to 8% on average, these loans. And it's like they're almost never going to pay it.
Yeah. And it's been run since the Obama administration. It's all been run under the Department of Education, who they're not designed to be a collection agency. They're an education department. So it's okay. It's a mess. And the payoffs have just not happened in there. And the fact that for 4 years, they didn't have to pay on them up until, what was it, like September of last year. For 4 years, most of Biden's administration, they didn't have to pay on.
Actually, yeah, it was October 23, but it doesn't matter. It was 4 years because it was from 2020 to 2020. Yeah. So it's 4 years.
Yeah.
But I thought this was interesting because the chart we showed last week, I don't think was the most current. Here's the credit card debt reaching 1.3 trillion.
Jesus.
This is carryover debt month to month. And we've been saying the ice on this pond is going to crack at some point.
Yeah.
That means, look at this, $8,200 in just like debt that you're paying an average of 21.6% in annual interest. It's a little bit much. Okay.
And then the new additions to this chart, which I don't even know where they're on here, but now they've got the Doge stuff. We're at
in the upper left.
Okay, upper left. Yeah. Yeah. So you've got the Doge clock in there. So they're actually, showing, okay, this is what we're doing from the Doge perspective to do it. Unfortunately, if you actually watch this thing in real time, which if you go to usdebtclock.org, everything else on the negative side is clicking off like literally as fast as you can imagine. And the Doge clock can only do so much. Side.
I got it. Just a couple other things I wanted to point out. The total debt to GDP. So I know they always said there was a Buffett factor, Buffett number. Yeah. And I remember vividly 25 years ago, like literally market strategists, people talking, almost laughing at the Japanese because they were 140 or 150% of total debt to GDP. And we breached 100, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We are at 133%. But
and not slowing down anytime soon.
And other people saying it's different this time. That we'll wait until people stop buying our treasuries.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can't finance this big, ugly beast that's running on there. Yeah. The proof will be in the pudding when I see the federal budget for this year and that that the federal budget is lower than it was the previous year. All I want is, if we could just see it lower than the previous year, I would see that it's going in the right direction. I still don't have any faith that we'll see that. It's amazing how it doesn't matter who or what, nobody seems to want to stop this just ugly machine from rolling.
No. So here we are. I wanted to just bring this up because I did a calculation. So the U.S. population is around 340 million people. U.S. retirees is 60. It's almost 18%. So think about it. 1 out of every 5, almost out of every 5, somebody over 65, 70 that's retired.
Yep.
And it's tough to comprehend really what that means, because these are people either on fixed income, obviously needing Social Security to a certain extent. You and I deal with retirement planning all the time, and I try and tell people we want to set up 2 buckets when you retire. 1 bucket to just generate the income, and another bucket for conservative growth, because if you ever need money, a new roof, a new car, a new HVAC, you're not going to get it from Social Security. You got to draw it from the other bucket because you don't want to interrupt the income bucket.
Yeah.
So 1 out of every 5. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. The reality is they're also the largest generation in our country ever. You know, the
baby boomers.
Yeah, the millennials, I think, are the second largest generation now. So they're getting out and working, and now they're realizing, holy crap, man, we're paying for all this. But, those are people that are theoretically, they're off the books as far as contributing into the Social Security system and all that. But the fastest growing area of new employees is people over the age of 65.
So I talk to a lot of people and I say there's a big difference between you want to retire.
Yep.
I'm sorry. You want to work or you have to work.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily into golf. Yes, they like some more downtime, but many of them enjoy working. A lot of them want to pull the ripcord. We all know that. But there's a lot of people, it's like, hey, look, I'm healthy. I don't mind getting a salary. Plus, also, until you turn 65 and eligible for Medicare, they need the health insurance.
Yeah. My dad's a great example. My dad's 83 years old. He works at Lowe's. He doesn't have to work at Lowe's.
But also that's like a hobby job for him.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, he was a quality control engineer. So what is the best gift that you can give a quality control engineer? Put them in the middle of a hardware aisle where people are going, I need your help. Let me show you. He's like the greatest. The guy who's never been in sales ever in his life. He was in a sales manager role once and did terribly at it, but you put him in that role and he's, what are you trying to do? Oh, you're going to need this tool and you're going to need
problem solver.
Yeah. That's what he does. He solves problems. He helps people fix stuff. And I can guarantee you just the way he works, when any project we worked on, if 2 screws was good, 12 screws had to have been better at that point. So if you just look at him as an employee, their sales and hardware are probably up dramatically because he's there. And the funny thing is he doesn't have to be there, but he has that work ethic that the baby boom generation has. And it's like, he's there, rain, shine. We had ice up in the Dallas area. He was the first guy into the place on those ice days when everybody else didn't want to come in. And so I honestly am looking for, in my co-working space, I'm looking for a retiree right now to run the co-working space for us. Cause I'm like, they're going to be here. They're not going to quit via text and all that stuff. So
I hear you.
All right, let me quickly share my stuff because I actually had some fun facts that we're going to share today. Let me pull this up here. So, spring fun fact, since it's the first day, spring can actually make you smarter. Studies show that people think faster and are more creative in the spring because increased sunlight boosts vitamin D, which enhances brain functions.
I can see that.
I can see it as well. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on here. I'm trying to share this thing. There we go. Now you should be able to see it. Now, I will tell you, last Tuesday, I taught an entrepreneurship class at my local high school on sales. And I will tell you that spring may make you smarter, but spring break makes you not very engaged in listening about how to do sales. For sure. This is cool. The Masters Golf Tournament brings in big money every April in Augusta, Georgia. The Masters generates over $150 million in revenue and sells out years in advance, even though tickets are nearly impossible to buy unless you win a lottery. Are you a big golf fan on TV or?
I endure it. I'll watch it every now and then. Actually, last year, for the first time in my life, I went to 2 golf tournaments.
Oh,
I went to
okay.
the Phoenix Open here, which was very interesting. And then 2 months later, I was in Orlando. I went to the Arnold Palmer. And I got to tell you, it was a nice experience. It's not for
Mhm.
because on TV, it's moving around.
Yeah.
Let's just say you're on the green. They
Yep.
putt great. And then you're waiting 10, 15 minutes for them to come. There's nothing to do. You don't realize until you're at a tournament, not much is going on.
Oh, it's boring as I consider golf on TV like watching old people have intercourse. It's just not very exciting. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm a
even
little
worse.
different than watching that, but okay.
Yeah, really the tournaments. I think the only time I've really truly enjoyed tournaments like that, my mom's boss used to be a member of the Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth. And every year he would play, every like 3 years, he'd play in the Pro-Am. We would actually follow his twosome basically. So you got to really know the golfer that they were playing with and stuff like that, or their foursome or whatever they were playing with. So you got to interact with the golfer and stuff like that, the pro golfers and things. So he played with like John Daly one year and Greg Norman. And I can't think of the guy, the Ian Baker Finch, that was the year that Ian Baker Finch, he hit the ball into the water and he ended up taking his pants off and walking into the water and hitting the ball out, getting it onto the green. So it was always fun to do that but just standing there and watching people hit. I can't even stand it when I'm playing. Just watching
I
people.
know, I know. All right, what else you got?
All right, we got Peeps, are America's best-selling Easter candy.
Gotta
Over
change the screen. Oh,
1.5
got it. Okay.
billion Peeps
Love Peeps.
annually. Ugh, I cannot stand them. Ugh.
I like to
Now
yell at them.
they even outsell chocolate bunnies every year. Just can't believe it. And this year, like all the decor is like Peeps, which I don't understand. All right, springtime is allergy season for 50 million Americans. I don't know if you've got that out in
Not so bad. I have allergies, but not so bad out here.
Yeah, I will tell you, Austin is the wonderful world of allergies. So out of the $3 billion that's spent per year on allergy medications, at least 1.5 is spent in the Austin area because I live in the town of Cedar Park, which it's nothing but cedar and mountain laurel trees. Okay, and the last one, spring was once considered the new year. Before the Gregorian calendar, many cultures, including the Persians and Romans, celebrated New Year's Day in spring since it symbolized renewal and growth. I've never understood why the new year started in the middle of winter, but yes, this makes more sense, quite frankly, from their perspective.
Okay.
And the Persians still celebrate their festival of now in March. So pretty cool.
Interesting.
All right. Last but not least, I wanted to just cover. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with clients, certainly with the markets going a little crazy. We are, I think, officially at the bottom down here. We were 10% off of the all-time high. That's part of what I have addressed with clients is, yes, the market's down. It's down about 4% for the year, but we're down 10% off the all-time high ever at that point. What has been setting up here this week? I grew up where I learned technical analysis and investing was through the Investor's Business Daily. And one of the things that Bill O'Neill always talked about when it came to market direction is what's called a follow through day. And we are setting up for a follow through day here. We've set up twice this week for it. And what a follow through day is a day where we're above the previous day on a candlestick, and then we go up another. So we had that. And then the third day, if it's up, is what's called a follow through day, meaning that the market tends to follow through and start to move upwards.
The higher lows, too.
Yeah. So we almost were there, and then we bounced back the other day, and then yesterday we were up, and today we're setting up for this. I don't want to jinx it, but it's actually looking like things have bottomed out and are settling a little bit. Now, There's a multitude of things that can affect the market, everything from what's going on over in Palestine and Israel to what's going on with everything in Ukraine and Russia. Is that all resolving itself? Plus the tariff stuff. April 2nd is going to be the day where we start to talk about reciprocal tariffs and everything. It's interesting that one of the most underreported things that I've seen on the tariff front is that with the threat of higher tariffs to Europe, they have actually caved and are willing to deal and come bring their 10% tariffs down to our 2.5% tariffs on cars, which in the end, it's not really much because we don't really export all cars to Europe, primarily because the tariffs were so high. But two, we build big, massive cars that don't fit on European streets. But it's interesting to see how that's balancing out and how this whole trade negotiations and everything are happening. So a lot of things could happen, but both the S&P and the NASDAQ are setting up for that follow through day, which that's something I'm going to be paying extreme attention to because we pulled back a ton of risk on our portfolios. Now I've got to really figure out when that time is to start shifting back into the markets a little bit more.
It's going to get rocky and probably trade sideways for a few more months.
Yeah, which, even if it trades sideways, I'm fine with that. You can still make money in a sideways market because of individual securities and stuff like that. But the perpetual downward motion, it's just not a fun market to invest in because there's really just nothing you can do in those cases. And that the animal spirits are just working against you at that point. Cool.
I agree. Like I said, I think this is going to continue right through Q2. And then from there, again, if you keep investing at these levels, what's the big deal? As long as there's no major geopolitical event, we'll be higher by the end of the year, most probably.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think everything's setting up. We'll get tax policy later in the year. Hopefully, some of these cuts will get codified by the Congress, so we actually take money away from the machine for a change instead of feeding more money into the machine. And once again, the proof will be in the pudding with the budget. If one time in my lifetime I actually see that the federal budget decreases, then I'll call it a win. But until I see that,
it happened 30 years ago. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it happened 30 years ago and it hadn't happened since. So regardless of Democrat or Republican, they always seem to find ways to spend more money.
I agree.
All right, my friend. Thanks, folks, for joining us. We will see you guys back here next week. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we will see you back here the very next time.